Welcome to Rhythm and Rose Las Vegas. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. On today's show, we have a very special guest. So, Las Vegas, you have seen his shows, you experienced his magic, and he has been on Netflix, America's Got Talent, Masters Illusion, Pawn Stars, and Hulu. Welcome, magician Murray SawChuck to Rhythm and Rose Las Vegas.
How you doing, man? How's it going?
Hey, man, great to have you on the show.
I know this is like a hair club for men ad. It's like before and after. I love it. This is great.
Oh, I was waiting for some joke to start
I
with.
know. I
Just
had to do it. I
ready,
had to say
dude.
it. I just,
Yeah.
how do you not, right?
Yeah, how do you not? Yeah. No, that's great, right? Be like, hey, this is what you don't want to look like, and this is what you
See?
should look
No,
like.
I'm jealous actually because you just wake up and go. For me, it's a whole thing. Like for me to get ready for this interview, it's taking me 2 goddamn days. I'm telling you.
Well, there's times I wish I can get back in the day like LA looks and just, spike it up and look all puffy and
Right?
yeah,
I
like a
know.
yeah. So anyway,
It's not easy looking this cheap. I'm just saying, it's not that easy looking this cheap, man.
I bet, man. Oh, what a great start to this show with some good laughs. All right, man. Well, Murray, I just want to say, how long have you been in Las Vegas doing your shows?
I came to Las Vegas in 2002 and I
Wow.
opened up at the Frontier Hotel, which is not there anymore. It's actually just a gravel lot right now, but it's right
Okay.
across from the Wynn Hotel. And at that time, the Wynn wasn't even there. They just wrecked the Desert Inn Hotel. That was the
Mhm.
one that what's his name owned the guy who invented the airplane. What's his name? I
Oh,
can
Howard
see
Hughes. Yeah.
Howard Hughes, that's
Yeah.
right. And so, anyways, so I was there for a few months when I first came to Vegas. But yeah, I literally drove from Florida where I was living at the time with my U-Haul trailer, my little red truck, and I had 4 days to set up the show, and I opened it.
Wow.
I don't even believe I actually did that. Now I sit
Yeah.
back and somebody told me that, I'd be like, "You're crazy. It's not going to work." You know?
Hey, great. Hey, man, I'm glad you took that step of faith and just tried it, and now look where you're at.
Yeah. I'm
So,
here in Florida. Look where I made it.
yeah, you did. Well, one thing we do want to know is, the visitors have seen your shows, the Las Vegas tourists, they come and experience your magic, the show, but what is the story behind Murray Sawchuk? So, what was back when you were young or however it started that you discovered just your passion for magic and just and the comedy and you just wanted to have that. So, if you want to start with your story on that.
Yeah. Well, I loved entertainment. I love watching shows on TV. I grew up with older parents. When I was born, my mom was around 34 to 36. My dad was my dad was 43. And so they were a lot older parents at that time and era in the late 70s. And so I watched shows like the Lawrence Welk Show. I
Oh,
watched shows
okay.
like Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And there I saw real stars. I mean, real stars. I mean, what I mean by real stars is I mean that everyone knew who they were.
Yeah.
Nowadays you could be beside a star, but if you don't watch cooking or you don't watch NASCAR or an influencer,
Mm,
you wouldn't know who they are. But back in the old days, either you were a star or you weren't because
mm.
you just heard about them because there's only three channels on TV or 10. And so, I
True.
grew up watching Liberace, the famous piano player, Phyllis Diller, the female comedian with wild hair, Jack Benny, who was a host that had glasses like mine, always had his hand like this, and he had a
Mm.
talk show. A lot of old stars that really had to be triple threats and really had to have the whole package to be a star.
Yeah.
And I thought that's pretty cool. And so I got into dance. I trained ballet, but I danced Russian and Ukrainian because my background is
Oh,
Ukrainian. I'm half Ukrainian and half Scottish. And so the
okay.
Sawchuk part of my name is Ukrainian, and then the
Okay.
Murray is Scottish. It's actually my mother's name. So I actually have my mother's last name. So I actually have two last names. Murray Sawchuk is my mother's last maiden name, and
Interesting.
Sawchuk
Okay.
is my father's. So that's how I got my name. And so I took Ukrainian dance lessons with the big red baggy pants and the puffy white
Wow,
shirt, and
no
you kick your
way.
legs in the air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I played the accordion, so some cultural stuff just to kind of know where I was from. And
Yeah.
then I played accordion, and I got into music, playing organ, keyboard, saxophone, and I like dance. So I like being in front of people. I thought it was pretty cool,
Wow.
making people have a good time.
Yeah.
And so around 7 or 8, I got a magic kit as a souvenir from my from my parents from Reno, a Siegfried and Roy kit, and I
Oh, no
liked it.
way. Cool.
Yeah, I liked it. It was one of those
Wow.
souvenirs with four tricks that you kind of have hanging on in a gift shop. You just kind of buy for a friend for $10 or whatever the
Yeah,
heck it
yeah.
was back then. I did it for 20 minutes, I was 7 years old, put it away, but I never threw it out. I just didn't do it anymore. And then closer to 12, 13, I got another magic kit and I got serious because I already was on stage for, at that point, probably 6 to 7 years. I started on stage when I was about 5.
Okay.
And I thought, this is pretty cool. fooling people in the sense of I know what's going on, but they don't. And I always love mysteries. I always
Yeah,
all sorts of mysteries, whether it be haunted houses or just things you don't know about. And I thought magic's pretty cool. Like, 'cause what I'm
yeah,
showing you here, you're seeing it, but you're
right,
really not seeing it. You know what I mean? You're not
right.
seeing the whole thing. It's like the haunted mansion at Disney World. So
Sure,
that's how I got
yeah,
into it. And I liked
sure.
it. And I thought, well, what the hell? And got a bunch of tricks. And I figured, how do I sell myself? And I started putting up flyers at rec centers, little posters. You rip your phone number off for doing birthday parties for
Oh yeah,
half
yeah.
$50. My dad would drive me around in the car because I didn't have a license
Wow.
yet. I had my little magic box and my 15 tricks I had, and I'd go make some money on the weekends.
That's awesome, dude. Well, good
Yeah.
for you to start like that, a young entrepreneur making some money and love what you're doing with
Yeah.
magic tricks. Now, at that time when you were young, did you look up to any magicians that were in Las Vegas doing, I don't know, just any time around that era where you were looking at like, oh, I want to be like this magician or
Sure. I mean, at the time, Siegfried and Roy were here, and they were the
okay.
biggest thing in town. I mean, they literally changed Las Vegas. And
Oh
now
yeah.
the sad thing is you talk to a 25-year-old or 30-year-old, they don't even know who Siegfried and Roy is. It's pretty
True.
wild, because
Yeah.
the times change.
Yeah. Time yeah.
They're actually doing the unveiling of their statue that used to be outside the Mirage I believe it's at the end of April at the Neon Boneyard, which is
Oh
pretty cool.
really?
Bit of
Okay.
history being saved. But it
Wow.
was Siegfried and Roy at the time, and David Copperfield would play Vegas once in a while. He wasn't here like he is now
Right.
consistently. He was still on the road, and now he doesn't do the road trips anymore. But yeah, but at the time it was Siegfried and Roy, and they had a spectacle like you'd never believe. They were
Yeah.
backed by Steve Wynn, had all these tigers in front of you, and it really was the place to go see a show that you'd never ever seen in your life before.
Yeah.
And that's what Vegas, I think, is still through the test of time, proving. Like when
Very
the
true.
Sphere was being built, I was like, oh God, here we go. It was being built for 3 or 4 years. And then all of a sudden
Wow.
when they finished it, I
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, hold on. This might be changing our skyline. And now it's
Yeah.
absolutely just when you think nothing can surprise you in your life, at least my life,
Yeah.
you go, wow, they did it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, right?
Go
Yeah.
big.
Very cool. And we want to get to the part now. Thanks for sharing the journey of the chapter one of your story. Uh, so what was the breakthrough, the part that started for Murray SawChuck, where you actually had your shows, the first, probably your era of the first year starting your show, getting calls to be on some shows from, Pawn Stars and Masters Illusion. When did all that start?
Well, it's funny when people it's different when you ask people when people ask me when I made it or when I had a big break. It's so much different when fans or people who know me go, I remember when, because they have a different point when they got to know me
Okay.
compared to when I thought I was doing well or I needed it. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. It's totally different usually. But locally, for me, it was getting on regular television shows, newscasts back in Vancouver, Canada, where I am from originally, and in Burnaby. But then later on, it was cool doing a couple of bigger things. I did my first international show in Japan. I thought,
Wow.
well, once I get
Okay.
Japan the resume, that should just open up the world.
Yeah.
It didn't. I did 6 months there and I had that in the resume, but I still had to work very hard at getting shows,
Wow.
because TV really is still the medium, or now streaming, or having a show like that. So later on in life, after I kept touring and traveling, playing resorts, it really was America's Got Talent, I think, in 2010. Um, that gave me that exposure. 'Cause remember, right now they get a lot of views, but
Yeah.
maybe I could be off on this, but maybe 2 to 5 million views right now.
Okay.
But when I was on it in 2010, because it's only 5 years old, on our last episode we were there, I think it was 22 million viewers live, which is
Wow.
pretty wild. I mean, that's
That
a
is
lot
wild.
for
Yeah.
watching a 1 hour show at night. And that was before we could use social media. They didn't want us to post online because they thought it would throw off the competition. Now they realize it boosts their ratings. So now if you don't have a handle on Twitter or Instagram, they make you one up before you get on the show because they want
Interesting.
that. Before
Wow.
we weren't allowed to use it. They thought it was slander, kind of hedging bets. Now it's okay. But so that was a big thing. And then the minute I changed and did that show, that's when people would start coming up to me. So I did a trick on that show where I vanished a steam train, my dad's steam engine that he worked on, because my whole family's worked on the railway all their lives except me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's why I did it. And I thought, well, I want to do a little throwback to my father and his family and where they all came from.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'm going to vanish his train that he worked on. So I did
Wow.
it, came up with the idea, and we did it. First time ever doing it, first and last. And if you ever watch me doing it online, I pull the cloth off the big cover we put on it, and I look back to make sure it's gone. And when you look at my reaction when I turn back to the audience, I'm just as shocked and excited as the audience because I really couldn't believe we got rid of
Are
it
you
because
serious?
we
Wow,
didn't have.
man.
But I've never done it before. I had
Yeah.
this design, I had the idea, I had my builders make what we needed to
Wow.
create the illusion.
Right.
And that train really was there. It was the right. It wasn't a fake train or AI. It was really, a metal train.
Wow.
And it was a cool moment. But then the next day at the airport, after all these people saw it, they were like, "Oh my God, where's your train?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I done card tricks and tricks with compact discs and cool things all my life. The
Yeah.
train I did one night, one time, never did it again. Never
Yeah.
gonna do it again. And all these people are like, "Where's my train?" I'm like, "I forgot." Like I just did the trick once. I didn't. That wasn't my brand. I
Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
feel. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny." I'd laugh it off, and I go, "What? What's with the train thing?" I'm like, "Oh, AGT. That's
Yeah.
what they know me from." And then everyone
Wow.
kept saying, "Where'd you park your train?" At the station. I'm like, "Oh, that's." So I realized that one moment, I'd never had that much attention
Wow.
uh, in one time in my life,
Yeah.
and instantly. Meaning, when I left the hotel to fly back to Vegas, and it was standing at the airport, I'm like, "That's wild." Where every third person had seen the show or something, and they
That's
were like, "Oh my
awesome.
God, there's the guy." So it was a cool moment for me because I
Oh
don't think
yeah.
it'll ever happen again, but it was a cool moment.
That is cool. And I love the fact that you used a trick that's in honor of your dad, of just something that ties to
Yeah.
family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
alive then. He's been gone for about 10 years now, rest his soul. But he's 83, had a great life. He
Wow.
died natural causes.
Yeah.
He died peacefully. It was, if I have to go, that's where I'd like to go. It was really nice that he got to see some of my successes before he
Oh, he
went away.
did. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
so yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. So from that point, and then from the America's Got Talent, then you were on some other shows. I mean, Netflix, Masters Illusion. Even I've seen you on Pawn Stars, which I thought was really cool to see you on there. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
well, what's
So,
the journey on that?
yeah, I once I saw reality TV come in to the world when
Yeah.
everybody thought, "Oh, it's going to last a year or two, it's crap TV." And I thought it was. It's kind of like rap. People didn't think rap would last. Look at rap now. It's a major,
Oh
major
yeah.
music genre,
Right.
it's awesome. And so I was like, this is easy to get on TV. There's no magicians on TV.
Mm.
And everyone's looking like idiots. Well, doing magic on TV and being a funny character, they got to book me. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, and at that point, I'd done magic for a long time. I was
Yeah.
pretty good at what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to try to get on these shows. And the first show I did end up getting on was Blind Date, going on a blind date. And I said, I want to do a blind date, and I want to do it to the Magic Castle in Hollywood. And
Okay.
I performed there before many times in this
Yeah.
great place. And they said, "My God, we've always wanted to do a date there. We just could never get in." I said, "Well, I can get you, and I know everybody there." So I called them, and they said, "Oh my God, it's great. It's good for everybody. It's good for the show, and it's great for the Magic Castle because it's national advertising for
Yeah.
a cool place." So it was a win-win for everybody. So I did a date there. I did that, and the video was hilarious and ridiculous. But I got the exposure, and I went, "You know what? Now I've got this idea. I've got this rhythm.
Right.
Figure out how to get on TV. I know what works for me. I know how to sell myself in that field." And that's why I just started doing a bunch of stuff on TV. And I did over 100 reality shows, I think, at this point,
Wow.
on everything
Yeah.
from Wipeout to Blind Date to Reno 911 to the Last Laugh or whatever they're called, all
Yeah.
sorts.
That's amazing, man. Look at that. So from there at that point, it just doors were opening with the shows from you, coming on.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I saw it as an opportunity to
Right.
sell myself. That you didn't need to be that good of an actor. You know what I mean? You could actually be crap, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? You didn't have to be Tom Hanks or Johnny Depp, who's a
Yeah.
phenomenal actor, or Tom Cruise. I could just be me as a magician, looking like an idiot, like I am. And I'm sure a lot of people would love me saying that.
Oh my God.
But I realized that's a great vehicle, and I know how to
Yeah.
sell myself. I know what I'm selling, and I was comfortable in my own skin, so I used that as a great vehicle to get out there. And then now, I did acting lessons and all that stuff back in the day, and courses, and learned how to act. And then I realized most people we watch on TV, we're watching them. Like
Wow.
when you watch Tom Cruise, it's him running a lot, running and flying and looking awesome in suits and flying and hanging from stuff and
Right.
following orders. And it's like Michael J. Fox, always
Yeah.
running, always da-da-da. He's always the office guy. And that's what he does. And that's okay. Very few people are Tom Hanks or Johnny Depp. who
Mm.
could be an invalid one moment, an AIDS patient the next, and then a clown or somebody stranded on an island the next. And we buy it. We can believe it because they're
Yeah,
that great at acting. And
right.
I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be me. Enough
Yeah.
of me trying to be a sick patient or whatever the hell it is. I'm going to go for the additions that work for me, and this is what you're getting. This is it. Take it
Yeah.
or leave it. And then I realized I got on TV a lot more because I'm like, I'm okay with this. It's not a stretch for me. You know,
Yeah.
you're getting what you're getting, and that was it. So that's once I realized that vehicle to get on those shows, I thought, well, let's go for it, and I just
Wow,
sold
man.
myself everywhere. You know, and it worked because a lot of magicians wouldn't go on these shows, so they thought they were silly or ridiculous, and they were. You know what I mean?
That's
But I really
awesome.
wanted that exposure, and I also wanted
Wow.
not to be just a magician. You know, I
Right.
wanted to be the class clown, you know.
No,
So
yeah. No, you're definitely great at what you do. I mean, I love it. So, especially
I'm
when we
still
started
trying
the
to
show,
figure
I'm
out what I
already
do.
laughing. But let's talk about your tour right now. So you're on tour, and what's going on with that?
Yeah. We've been going on tour. We've been on tour for the last 3 or 4 months now. And, you know, I've
Wow.
had my show in Vegas for over 23 years in the strip.
23
And
years. Congrats.
23 years from
Wow.
2022. I've played the strip every single year. My longest run was at Tropicana at the Laugh Factory. But you know, the last year and a half, Vegas has changed. You know, and I think I've been very good at pivoting and knowing the market. And also I know how and when to make money and when money's not going to be made.
Okay.
And right now, Vegas is a very tough market right now for
Wow.
selling tickets. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a 5 to 6 day a week show town. Yeah, it is for a couple
Wow.
of weeks or 3 weeks,
Yeah.
but not 12 months a year. Not like it used to be in the old days when there was only 18 shows in Vegas, a lot
Mm.
less hotels, a lot less competition. There's so many things to do in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
Even if you want to come and see a great show, you're only there for 2 or 3 days. You just don't have the time.
Right.
So it's just too much supply and not enough demand. You know, there's so much, you know, so that's the reason where now I'll play Vegas, you know, once every 3 months and do a big show. And then that'll be my pace until things settle down or whatever happens. It's just better for me and just for the business, I think, versus trying to slug it out 5 days. Even, you know, Bruno Mars, he'll come in and do 3 weeks straight and then take 6 months off and come back. Lady Gaga will do the same thing, everybody.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
that
I
works for
noticed.
them and they're major stars.
Right.
You kind of got to watch that and kind of go, wait a minute. You know, what I mean, even Backstreet Boys, they can sell at the Sphere with
Right.
3 weeks in a row, and then
Yeah.
let's come back in the summer. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a machine, and you have to read that, or if you're smart, you kind of see that and go, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
That's
these are
true.
stars that can fill a room like that. You know what I mean? So
Right. No, very true. So
that
yeah,
put me
now
back
you're
on
on.
tour.
Yeah, so you're on tour for it's been 4 months, you said?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 months
Wow.
all over the place. It's kind of fun. I was on the road for 18, 20 years before settling
Dang,
in
that's
Vegas a little
awesome,
bit, and
man.
now we're on the road again. The great thing too is my wife can work with me now because she's originally ballet trained and a dancer professionally. She was
Oh,
in the show
cool.
Jubilee at Ballet. It's a real
Oh,
show.
wow, really?
Yeah, like
Nice.
not a showgirl that you see outside by the Bellagio.
Yeah, yeah.
The one you see on stage in Jubilee with Bob Mackie costumes and that. And she's almost 6 feet tall and gorgeous. And then from there, she went to host the show Crazy Girls, which was one of the longest running shows in Vegas, from the
Wow.
Riviera to Planet Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then now she's the lead dancer when they're in town for the band ZZ Top. So she's had a great
Oh,
dance
wow.
career. And then a few years or so ago, she kind of had an interest in magic. I said, well, you know, there's not many female magicians in magic, and you're
Mm.
gorgeous, you're beautiful. You've done stand-up comedy, you know how to talk to an audience, you know how to walk on stage.
Yeah.
You'd be great doing magic. You'd get more success than me because you're unique, you're beautiful, you're original. And so she started putting magic into a couple of her comedy sets, and it went really well. Like my old bits that she did,
Wow.
because I already proven them that they'd work, and I already kind of had them written. So I said, don't try to be original. Just use stuff that I'm not doing and see if it works. If you like it, then slowly make it yours. But
Yeah.
we all got to learn from somewhere. It's kind of like
Right.
cover bands. You play "Stay Away from Heaven" every night, and then you start writing your own ballad, right?
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Anyway, so she started doing that. So now, long story short, she's a guest act in my show, and she does 10 to
Oh,
15 minutes
wow.
of comedy magic, and people love her. And I'm not just saying because I'm her husband, because I'm obviously going to say that because I am her husband and I want to stay
Right.
married. But the point is, like, her alone, like when we're on stage, nobody knows she's my wife. I don't introduce her as my wife. I introduce her as my guest act, and she
Okay.
comes on as Danny Elizabeth, which is
Yeah.
her first and middle name.
Okay.
Uh, and at the end, I share that she's my wife, but I don't want people to go, "Oh, that's cute. She's in a show because they're married." Like I really want her to stand on her own, and
Right.
she's doing great, man.
That's
She's going to
awesome.
be on this season's Master of Illusion on CW and on her
Oh, she
own.
is.
Oh yeah, and she's going
Oh,
on
good for
tour.
her.
next
Wow.
week on our own. So we're both going on tour of Master of Illusion. It's a big rock and roll bus tour on the East Coast.
Oh, wow,
And
man.
she's being billed separately than me. And in the audience, people will not know we're married unless people know who we are, of course.
Right, right.
And she'll do her own 15, 20 minutes in the show like I will. And I'm really excited, thrilled for her. So it'll be
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good for you guys. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want to get to the part of after the tour is done, do you have any more shows lined up for Vegas this year, or what's the plan?
Yeah, we have a few things coming up. There's a couple projects. One I can't mention just yet because the
Okay.
contract's not signed, and it's going to be signed, should be this week or next. And it's off property, off the strip
Okay.
show. And it's going to be a kind of a Murray's Misfits type wild show, like more variety show. My other brand is Murray's Misfits, which is like a five-piece variety show with
Yeah.
jugglers and sideshow acts and all that.
Oh, cool.
There's another brand we're going to be putting out called Murray's Madhouse, which is more of a comedy-based show, stand-up comedy in that.
Oh,
And I was
wow. Okay.
deciding between Murray's Madhouse or Murray's Laugh House because I kind of like the word Laugh House. It's kind of a cool name for a comedy club.
Yeah.
We're
Uh,
still playing with that, but that's going to be something for the spring, early summer. And so we're
okay.
working on that, and then I'm going to bring probably Misfits back. We just did the Misfits around the holidays at the Orleans Hotel, and so we're in talks for bringing that back with them as well again. So yeah, so I'll be always around in Vegas, but right now there's not a locked in date because I'm on the
Okay.
road till at least May, the end of May right now. I'm
All
gonna be
right.
home back and forth, but
Yeah.
we're definitely looking into that April, April starting ish, April,
Yeah.
May, June kind of thing with shows in Vegas. So
Awesome. Well, I look forward
yeah,
to having you back so I can go to one of your shows.
I know. Yeah, I'd love to have you there. You're always a guest.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to say, yeah, congrats again to you and your wife on the Masters of Illusion. That's really awesome. Speaking of shows like that, I remember back in the 90s watching The World's Greatest Magic. Do you remember that?
Oh, sure. Great
Oh,
show. Gary Olay produced it, a dear friend of
yeah.
mine.
And it was at the Caesar's Palace, right?
They did it at the old Caesar's Palace, the Circus Maximus, the
Wow.
original Caesars, not the one they have now they built for Celine, but they had the old theater with the booths.
Yeah.
And most people don't know that old theater never had doors on it. It had curtains. You just walked right into the main room. Like there
Are
was
you
no,
serious?
isn't that crazy? All the
Wow, that
theaters were
is
like that in
crazy.
Vegas back in the day. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Isn't
that
that
show
cool?
was definitely back in the 90s I was huge on Magic and bought
Yeah.
get bought stuff at Toys R Us of the
Sure.
and anytime you go to MGM they had their Magic shop there. Just
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, for me David Copperfield is definitely on my top and I wish I would have seen Siegfried and Roy, but I didn't get to see them, but
They were so good. And I know they're
oh,
doing a series on Apple now. I believe
yes.
you might have
Yeah.
heard about that.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
And the two actors are amazing. I can't think of their names right now. Is it Jude Law, maybe?
Yeah, I think Jude Law's one of them. Yeah.
And the other guy that played Spider-Man, I think, can't think of his name. One of the guys that played Spider-Man,
Okay.
I think.
I think
Anyways,
so.
but they've
Yeah.
been filming in Vegas, and I can't wait to see it. I think it's great. I was friends with both of them, not super
Oh,
close,
cool.
but enough that I wouldn't text them and go over and hang, but enough at a party we'd have a drink together, say
Yeah, yeah.
hi. Siegfried would always make fun of my blonde hair. He's always like, "Oh, you should comb your hair one day. See, maybe bigger and better. You see what
Pull
I
me here
did?
one day.
Yeah, exactly."
That's awesome. You got to talk with him and just, whatever time you
They were
have it.
amazing.
Oh, I
They were
bet.
amazing. They walked in a room, and people don't understand this as an entertainer. If you want to be in public and you want to be an entertainer, when you're in public, besides having dinner with your wife and your family and stuff like that, but when you walk in a room, if that's your job, own it. If that's your job, be that person because that's your life. That's who
Right.
you are.
Right.
And when all the old school stars, that's the way it was. Even MGM had scouts and people and trainers that actually schooled, the stars how to walk in a room and how to enter a press conference. And you always had to be that person because that's who
Wow.
you're selling. That's what we want to see. So
Yeah.
Siegfried and Roy, when they walked in the room, you knew they were there. It was
Oh,
wow.
I bet, man. You
And
felt the
Roy was that.
magic around them.
Oh, amazing. And Roy, Siegfried was, believe it or not, in with a room full of people, Siegfried, which is the blonde, was the quieter one, and Roy
Oh,
was more
wow.
loud. Like Siegfried always was around. He'd always be there before, if not only, other than Roy, because Roy
Yeah.
loved his tigers. But when they were both together, what's funny is Roy was there. Roy loved pictures, loved having a drink. He was very over the top. Where
Wow.
Siegfried, he'd be talking to a nice two or three people, just very calm and just very just gentle. And then Roy would be more over the top. And it was really funny because he didn't show up as much. But when Roy did show up, the one with the dark hair, for people that don't know,
Yeah.
he really made an entrance. And he was just so entertaining. He's one of the greatest
Wow.
people around.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that on
Yeah,
Siegfried and Roy. That's interesting. I didn't know how they
yeah,
were about. Yeah, that's really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Good.
Before we close on this episode, I want to ask, what's one of your memorable experiences on one of your magic tricks that you've done throughout your journey of just one that you've always just loved doing or just one that really just, just always look back and be like, that's one of my greatest that I've done.
I think probably the one I mentioned before, which was vanishing a steam train,
Okay.
with having my dad there and my mom and kind of having a full circle moment,
Wow.
working that hard, getting somewhere and really doing a dream that I really had, playing in Hollywood, being
Yeah.
on one of the biggest TV shows in the world, doing a
Wow.
trick that was my own that I designed. That had basis of my history of my mother and my father,
That's awesome.
who wanted me to work for the railway because it's a real job. I got a pension plan, typical,
Yeah.
parents worried about their kids, get a real job and don't struggle. So that was a really cool moment for me. There's other tricks I've created and worked on that are nice. I mean, like I do a lot of social media videos and every Christmas we would do a video where we gave back to the homeless.
Oh,
It's really
really? Okay.
something I'm passionate about giving back. I think it's good karma. I think it's when you're successful, I think
Yeah.
it's a really nice thing to pay it forward and help people out. It's just a really big vocation. I'm a huge supporter of rescuing animals and also giving
Wow.
back
Okay.
to YMCA's, women's groups, youth groups, all that stuff. And every year we do a video and I would give away either beanies. In Canada, we call them toques, but beanies, keep your head warm at
Okay.
night. And I'd give 100 of those away, or
Wow.
mittens. And here's the cool thing is my mom would actually knit all the hats. And my mom
All of
would
them?
knit all the
Really?
mittens, all 100. And she'd
Oh,
start in
wow.
July. And she's really good at knitting. And she
Yeah.
always sewed and knitted as just a thing she's known how to do because that's how you survive back in the day. They couldn't afford to buy clothes; they had to make clothes, and
Wow.
that's how far back we go. And so she'd sit there in the summertime and just watch TV, Wheel of Fortune, and just knit a mitten and knit another mitten and then a hat. But she
That's
could just do it like you and
amazing.
I talking. Me, I can't even tie my shoelace. But my mom
Yeah.
did this, so she'd sit there and and she'd get yarns of wool from like the Goodwill store, whatever. Just she didn't
Wow.
care what colors. She just
Yeah.
grab a end and away she goes. And so she'd make these, and there's videos I have her in them as well, which are beautiful memories for me as well. Mom's still around, she's doing great, but so we would tie her in with that, where she'd make the mittens, and we'd have pictures of her doing that, and then we'd give them away on the street, and we'd make a magical appearance of them for my video. And then my friends and I would walk down the streets, and also Danny, when we were first dating, she did this. My wife, we'd hand them out to all the homeless people, and down on D Street and
Wow,
downtown
man.
Vegas, and yeah. So it's not always about being on a major TV show. It's
Yeah.
not about all that. Yeah, we were making a video that went viral and stuff, but the point is also we were trying to tie in something not just for views. Like, how can we actually make this, a benefit to somebody else, not just
Right.
me or anybody else involved. So it's those things I really enjoy.
No, that's awesome, man. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, I didn't even know that you did that. And wow,
Yeah,
that's just, thanks for being a blessing to others. And I'm truly a believer on that. If you're blessed, be a blessing to someone else. So
a
yeah,
hundred
so
percent.
yeah. So
Pay
that's
it
awesome that
forward and
yeah.
be lucky.
And how often do you say you still do this? Every
I haven't done it for a couple of years now since
Okay.
COVID because that whole changed everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But we did that yearly. Another year I dressed up as Santa Claus and a Santa
Oh, you
Claus
did,
on a
really?
on a hoverboard, and I went through a
Wow.
McDonald's drive-through and I ordered 100 cheeseburgers.
Are
I had
you
my Santa
serious?
sack, and of course I had to pull in the
Oh,
little lane. So I pulled in the little lane where you wait, and
yeah.
sure enough, they came out with 100 hamburgers. They put them in my Santa sack, and I hoverboarded all the way downtown Las Vegas, and I handed them out to Santa Claus one year. I think it was one of our first
Wow.
videos years ago. We're talking
That's
2016 or 17, maybe something like that.
yeah. That's cool, man.
I think it's cool. I think it's good to
Especially a
give back. I think it'd be
hoverboard.
entertaining. Yeah, why not? They only fell
Yeah.
off twice.
Yeah. And I take it one of your favorite films is definitely Back to the Future, like mine.
Totally, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah,
Oh, Back to the
perfect
Future's
movie.
awesome.
Oh yeah,
Dude, I love
perfect
those
movie.
movies. I mean, I wanted to be, Michael J. Fox in those. I mean, Michael J. Fox grew up in my neighborhood back in Burnaby,
He
BC, where
did? No
oh
way.
yeah. And so did Michael
Wow.
Bublé and all that. He's older than me, so I never got to meet him or hang out with him. But me and Michael Bublé grew up together. And he was in
Wow.
one school, I was in the competing school, and we ran into each other at a couple of talent competitions in our city before we all took off and tried to become, rich and
Yeah.
famous.
No, that's cool. You grew up together in that neighborhood. Michael Bublé, right? But
Yeah, Michael Bublé. Yeah, he
that's
still lives there.
cool.
He built a huge, huge compound there,
Wow.
right across from the school that he went to school for. So his kids, I think, go to that school now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Murray, I just want to say thank you again for your time coming on Rhythm and Rose Las Vegas and sharing your story, an incredible story, especially with your family. I mean, that hits home, just I think that's important also how certain family can tie into what you love doing, and that's what I love also about David Copperfield's show is that he ties in some of that in it too, which is really interesting. But
Yeah.
but yeah, thanks for your comedy, your magic, just what you do, and just making others feel great, and just the light that you have. For those to stay updated on your shows, is there a website or how we stay updated on that in
Sure.
Instagram?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
always go to murraymagic.com. It's updated pretty regularly,
Okay.
weekly, monthly. And I'm always touring around this. Now I'm really touring around all of the states everywhere. So
Yeah.
I'm going to Alaska this spring as well, do some
Oh,
shows.
you are? No way,
Yeah,
man.
I'm up to Alaska, so
Good
I'm
for
looking forward to
you.
that. And being back in Vegas. Our home is Vegas,
Oh yeah.
but it's been fun on the road. So it's exciting, man.
Yeah. And yeah, it definitely is. And thanks for sharing your journey with us. And yeah, we'll definitely put the links down there so everyone can stay updated on your shows, even especially here in
Yeah,
Las Vegas. But
sure.
guys, I just want to say if you'd like to come on Rhythm and Roads as well and share your story, my Instagram is Joshua Jacob Official. I believe every story matters and every story can make an impact in putting that light in someone to go and pursue their purpose as well and their dreams. So, Murray SawChuck, it's been such a pleasure having you on
Thank
Rhythm and
you.
Roads Las Vegas, and we will see you sometime in Vegas when you get back.
Thank you so much, man. You have an awesome, awesome month, okay?
All right, you too. Thank you guys for watching.